Hello, friends. It's Holly Wainwright jumping into your ears, not literally, that would be weird, to tell you about the next season of Mid and how it's all about you. You see, over the last 5 seasons, we've talked about everything on Mid, from marriage and divorce to hormones and fashion and sex and grief, life, right? And we've had so much feedback from you about your own messy middles that we have decided to make a season all about that, about you and the challenges that you're facing. The next season of Mid is all about dilemmas and wisdom and sharing both those things. And I am phoning in my friends to help. Hopefully, we're going to sort it out. And me and my more qualified mates, we are really going there. Mid, Conversations for Gen X Women Who Are Anything But, is back in your ears with your questions on Tuesday, July 15th.
You're listening to a Mamma Mia podcast.
Australian women, welcome to your full body health check. I'm Claire Murphy. I'm a 46-year-old woman who didn't get the chance to really understand what menopause was from my mum because she had a hysterectomy when she was in her 30s and claims she didn't really know when she was in menopause. So I have no idea on what to compare it to. I am definitely perimenopausal right now. That has been confirmed. And I'm on the HRT journey, which has been interesting to deal with all of that.
Go you. And I am Dr. Mariam. And I remember when my mum got me for the first time. She would have been in her late 40s, early 50s. And then suddenly she became this short, snappy person, not her usual self. And I did take it personally, to be honest. Yeah.
Menopause can do some stuff to you.
Mm-hmm.
If you are in perimenopause right now, welcome to the We Do Not Care Club.
We do not care about people pleasing. Either you like me or you don't like me. We don't care if it's 5 p.m. We drinking coffee or we drinking wine, one or the other. We do not care if somebody knock on the door. If we are not expecting you, we're not coming to that door. We do not care about arguing with anybody because 9 times out of 10, we forget what we're talking about mid-sentence of the argument. We do not care about small talk. Just shut up and don't say anything to me. We don't care if you want to eat dinner together. Please do not make that sound with your mouth when you chew.
That was Melanie Sanders. She's a US influencer who started the We Do Not Care Club.
Yep.
It now has, I could not even tell you how many members around the world. There is an Australian chapter of this as well. And it's literally just members sharing what women who are in perimenopause no longer care about. It is so funny. Literally, we don't care what men think of us anymore. If we're going to go clubbing, we're clubbing at 4 p.m. and we are at home and in bed by 9.
Love it.
We don't care about what we're wearing. We just don't care anymore.
I love this club.
We are going to be talking about all things menopause over the next few weeks. Today, we're going to start at the beginning, and that is with the symptoms.
Mm-hmm.
And boy, is there an extensive list of those, from dry vaginas to weird itchiness, UTIs, hot flashes, night sweats. We are going to attempt to tackle as many of them as possible. We'll also do a quick consult for Ruth today. She keeps falling into the same sweet trap every single night, the poor thing. But first, Mariam, did you know that your boob is not the only place you can lactate from?
Tell me more.
Well, another super fun fact about women's bodies coming your way next. It's time to head off to med school.
Let's go.
Welcome to med school.
Can you lactate out of your armpits? Yes, you can.
Not only can I get milk from my armpit, but it sprays. It's so weird.
Some people can lactate from their armpits, and it's not another nipple. As you can see, there's nothing there. It's just the milk coming out of the glands within the milk line.
That's Ithnapar, and I'm so sorry if I've mispronounced that gorgeous name. She shows in this video that she's actually lactating from her armpit. But of course, breast tissue doesn't just exist in your breast, because when you're actually growing in utero, breast tissue is basically from your armpits all the way down to your groin, and then it retracts back up to be generally in that breast area when you are mature. But that's not always the case. Sometimes those milk ducts can still extend all the way up into your armpit and they can lactate.
Crazy.
But really, it comes out through your skin.
Yeah.
Isn't that incredible?
Rare but completely harmless breast tissue, like you said, doesn't just stop at the bra line. It can actually extend into your armpits. It's called the axillary tail, and during breastfeeding, that tissue can get activated too. That said, if there's a lump or bump or swelling that doesn't settle, always worth having a chat to your GP just to be safe.
But fascinating nonetheless, because women's bodies are incredible. Okay, that is med school for today. Are you ready to tackle the epic list of symptoms that is perimenopause and menopause?
How long do we have?
I mean, do we have a 4-hour show ahead? Possibly. Well, let's do it.
It's time for the checkup.
So perimenopause is having quite the moment in social media. It has been described as puberty's feral older sister, which I feel like I really align with. I've heard it also described as cougar puberty, which is gorgeous, and I love that. So when it came to symptoms, mine started off with a run of UTIs.
Okay.
So it was then followed pretty quickly by night sweats.
Yeah.
I got thunderclap headaches, and then I got vertigo. It was just... there was lots of different things happening. And so my doctor was trying to tackle them one at a time. So I was being treated individually for all of those separate things. And well, Mamma Mia did the Very Peri Summit. And I was like, oh, God, I think this is perimenopause. And I took that to my GP again. I'm so sorry. I need to apologize to him.
Yeah.
I said to him, could this be perimenopause? And he said, you're not in menopause, because I still got my period and it was, regular. And I said to him, look, no offense, but what's your understanding of perimenopause? And he said it's the few months before you hit menopause.
No, it isn't.
And I was like, mate, let's have a conversation, because it's actually could be for up to a decade beforehand. So I'd love to know from you, as in your capacity as a GP, when do you start treating those symptoms as individual things and start looking at it as a whole experience?
So I think too often people kind of experience what you experience, where they're like, oh, here's something for your hot flushes, or let's fix the sleep issues, and let's do a mental health care plan and send you to a psychologist because you're quite irritable and nobody likes you.
Yeah, and you hate everybody.
Yeah. But menopause isn't just a list of isolated problems. It's a whole life transition that affects every part of a woman's well-being. And that's why from the very first consult, especially as a woman's health GP, I kind of zoom out and I look at the full picture, the hormonal shifts, the mental health, the sleep, bone and heart health, lifestyle, relationships, sex, all of it, everything. And I always consider perimenopause and menopause early on, even while I'm ruling out other disease processes. So when I suspect they might be in that perimenopause or menopause transition, it's understanding the full story. There's a really great resource on the Australian Menopause Society website, and it's called a symptom score sheet. And I often do this with my patients, and then they're like, oh, holy shit. And then just going through their gynae history, medical, family, social history, their mood and sexual health. That's one that gets missed fairly often. Sex is a big part of the perimenopause transition as well. And perimenopause is not just about the hot flushes. It's a time when long-term health risks start to shift. So we see accelerated bone loss. We see that increased cardiovascular risk, like that central weight gain that females might experience. They've got changes in cholesterol and blood sugar, and a higher chance of mood-related disorders, especially in a history of females who have hormone-related mood symptoms. Yeah, so that consult, I ensure that all their screening is up to date. We do a physical examination. I also do blood tests and investigation, because you also do want to exclude underlying processes like thyroid dysfunction and all sorts of other things. And yeah, by the second visit, we've usually got test results and we can build a personalised plan, whether that's hormonal or not, and have a clear path forward. With the Medicare rebates for menopause consults, it's a big step forward, allowing more time in general practice, but they don't match the complexity of care many women need. It's like 20 minutes. I can't do a menopause consult in 20 minutes. I usually see a patient 2 to 3 times before I prescribe.
So don't expect to go in for one appointment and walk out with a solution, yeah?
No, definitely not. The new menopause hubs are also a welcome addition for complex cases, and we see a lot of females who really struggle to kind of get on top of their symptoms, or we can't start MHT or HRT, as you might know it. So it's really great that there's a service that I can refer them to where there are some great specialists that can give them individualised care.
Can you give us a little idea on what is actually happening internally to me when I hit perimenopause? Because it's often compared to puberty, but are there similarities there?
Okay, so that's the $1 million question. So what is going inside our bodies when perimenopause begins? Because let's be honest, it can feel like chaos. That's why we do call it the period of chaos.
I've heard it called the window of chaos.
It is the window of chaos.
Yep.
But there's a method to it, and understanding it can help us feel a lot more grounded. Mm-hmm. So from puberty until your late 30s or early 40s, your brain and ovaries are doing this little nice synchronized hormonal tango. So think of it like a long-term couple with this solid rhythm. Every month, your brain sends out these little two cute chemical messengers, so FSH and LH, follicle-stimulating hormone and luteinizing hormone, to your ovaries. And they tell them when to grow and release an egg and to produce the hormones estrogen and progesterone. But in perimenopause, which can start several years before your last menstrual period, that choreography starts to get a bit clumsy, right? The ovaries start going, I'm a little tired, it's not happening today. And they don't respond as predictably, and they don't produce the hormones consistently anymore. So this is where it gets really interesting, and this is what most people don't realize. Even though you're nearing the end of your reproductive years, you still have eggs, right? You can still get pregnant in perimenopause.
I love how every doctor I've spoken to about menopause is you can still get pregnant, because everyone who's hit perimenopause is just oh, it's over, thank God.
No,
and they're no.
So you still have eggs left, and those are the follicles in your ovaries, but they're slowly running out. And the ones that are left, they're kind of shy, they're hiding, and they're not exactly lining up to do their job. So when your brain senses that the hormones levels, especially estrogen, are low, it panics a little. So it's holy shit. And it starts to ramp up the FSH and the LH, sending stronger signals to try to wake those ovaries up. And sometimes it works. Those quiet little follicles respond to the extra push, and then your estrogen levels spike up, and they're high the next month, then nothing crickets, and then they're low, and then they drop. So you've got this estrogen excess, estrogen deficiency, estrogen excess. So you get these wild hormonal swings, down, up again, down, and your body rides that roller coaster along with them. That's why you might feel like a different person from one week to the next. So you've got hot flushes, mood swings, poor sleep, heavy or erratic periods, anxiety, brain fog. It's not in your head.
God, the brain fog is the actual, and this is something my friends and I who are around the same age talk about as being probably the worst symptom of them all. Is starting to feel like a crazy person, forgetting things. You're do I have dementia?
Yeah, and it's not in your head, as we mentioned, it's in your hormones, and your whole system is trying to keep up. And this is why we tell a lot of females, they're I just want to get more hormones tested. But if you're over the age of 45 and you're having symptoms of perimenopause, there's really no need for us to do hormonal testing to diagnose it, because, as I mentioned, you'll have days where your estrogen is high and you'll have days when your estrogen is low. And so that level is not really going to tell me anything.
So we have no idea where you actually are.
Exactly. So your cycles and your symptoms will tell me more about whether you are in that perimenopause space. And we define that by the Straw 10 criteria, which is available on the Australian Menopause Society. That being said, a lot of people are on contraception. So it's really hard to tell if your periods are regular or irregular. So that's where your symptoms will be our telltale sign. And while estrogen gets a lot more of the focus, let's not forget about progesterone. And that tends to decline earlier and more steadily.
So not quite as chaotic as estrogen.
Yeah, not as chaotic as estrogen. And that drop can lead to more irritability, poor sleep, and those PMS-style symptoms, even if your cycles seem normal. Perimenopause, it's a transition. It's not a disease. It's your body slowly powering down its baby-making factory. But because hormones like estrogen and progesterone just don't control your periods, they also support your brain, they support your bones, your heart, mood, sleep, muscles, metabolism, skin, sex drive. Effects show up everywhere.
I heard someone say that there is an estrogen receptor in almost every cell of a woman's body.
Isn't that crazy? Yeah. So that's why you feel like a completely different human some days, because internally it's not all in your head. It's in your hypothalamus, your pituitary gland, your ovaries, and every cell that's been relying on those hormones for decades. But the good news is you're not going crazy. You're changing.
Thank God.
And there are evidence-based treatments, hormonal or not, that can actually help.
Amazing. Okay, we are going to get into this in a little bit more detail next with Dr. Sonia Davison. We are going to be talking about the potential list of symptoms because there are a lot, and we're going to find out whether that all stops when actual menopause arrives.
Parenting podcasts can be a bit earnest. Parenting Out Loud is not that podcast.
This person who I may not agree with politically is trying to talk about integrating children, not just into his professional life, but into public life.
I have referred to myself as one and done. That article did make me rethink the term.
It took about 11 seconds for this to go viral.
Oh God, is this the ejaculate one? That is deranged and I love it.
Parenting changes the way you see everything. Parenting Out Loud takes the big conversations of the moment and puts them through that filter.
Because if parents are thinking about it, we're talking about it.
Parenting Out Loud. Listen weekly wherever you get your podcasts.
Now, look, I caught up with Dr. Sonia Davison. She's an endocrinologist at the Jean House Medical Centre to find out about these symptoms and how we handle them. I started off asking her, what are the most common perimenopause symptoms?
So we've got some estrogen overboard symptoms and we've got estrogen deficiency or low estrogen symptoms trying to creep in as well. The low estrogen symptoms are the flushes, the sweats, typically when estrogen is dropping really low before the period. So women will start to notice that even in late 30s, possibly even early 40s. Feeling low in mood, cranky as, feeling anxious, so a heightening of anxiety as well. Some will not sleep. Some will find it difficult to initiate sleep as well and wake frequent times. So they're the low estrogen symptoms. But the high estrogen symptoms, on the other hand, headaches, breast tenderness, bloating, fluid retention, and amplification of PMS as well. So that's a really tricky one if you've had that throughout life. It can be a hodgepodge of this, that, and the other. Within the month, it can be very tricky and it will vary over time. So women will typically not know if they're Arthur or Martha.
Well, can we talk about some of the less common symptoms? And I'm not sure how many we can actually attribute to perimenopause because depending on where you look, some say there are 30 symptoms, some say there are 35, some say there are more than 40, some say there are closer to 50. So things like incontinence or needing to wee a lot more often or getting UTIs, is that part of perimenopause?
Well, that could be because estrogen symptoms are starting to bottom out, and also those really wild and wide fluctuations in estrogen. Our genitourinary tract is riddled with estrogen receptors.
What about the brain fog? This seems to be the one that anecdotally the women I've spoken to is the one that gets them off to the GP. What's going on there?
Estrogen levels throughout the cycle when we're reproductive and we have normal cycles and we're normal, not polycystic ovary syndrome, not breastfeeding, not on the pill. Our estrogen will go from about 150 up to 1500 mid-cycle, drop down when the egg is released, and then we'll have another little hump at the side. And progesterone does a very different thing. There's a big peak just after ovulation, before the period. So if you think that a woman is used to having those hormones circulating for about 30 years and it all goes astray, in perimenopause, brain fog, cognitive disturbance, word finding issues, memory issues, they have been well reported.
A lot of people experience frozen shoulder when they hit this time in their life, and others experience lots of like hip pain and pains in their hands. Like, what's happening there?
Again, this is more an estrogen deficiency symptom. Some women come to menopause or perimenopause with just usually the small joints of the hands and feet, but it can be hips, can be elbows, etc., and they just ache and they just feel old.
Can we give this next lot, put them under the itchy banner? Because many women explain having itchy skin, itchy scalp, itchy inner ears, like just lots of dry skin. Sometimes in patches, it'll get quite red raw. Like, what is happening there?
There is an exciting looking word called formication. There's another word that looks quite similar to that. It's a sensation of ants crawling under the skin. And some women can get this very vigorously at perimenopause and menopause. This is a drying out time of life for some women, not for everyone. And yes, they can get dry eyes as well, and they can also get dry mouth. So yes, this is not unusual.
I guess we have to add dry vagina into that mix too?
Absolutely. But again, with perimenopause, these things will be coming and going, and they might be more noticeable again when the estrogen really bottoms out and progesterone bottoms out before the period.
Except for chin hair growth that seems to arrive and then remain constant forever.
That's because the relative estrogen has gone from being about average 400 over reproductive life, heading towards 20 at menopause, which is the last period, no more eggs. But the relative decrease in testosterone and androgens is less than that. So there's relatively more testosterone, even though it's very low still, compared to estrogen, just late perimenopause and early menopause.
What about bone density at this time? Is that being impacted by our hormone fluctuations?
There can be about a 3% per year decline in bone density at perimenopause when we're running out of estrogen. The bones love estrogen. It keeps them healthy, keeps them strong. Estrogen actually helps grow bone and stops lose bone. We reach peak bone mass at around 30. It's very sad. So the cells that grow bones are winning, but after 30, the cells that lose bone, the osteoclasts, start chomping away, and unfortunately bone density does decline, but a really rapid decline around perimenopause, and you can lose about 10% over perimenopause, and we all want that 10% back.
Let's move on to some weirder symptoms. So a lot of people report smelling things that may not be there. Like a lot of people report smelling cigarette smoke, even though, and I'm talking about indoors where we haven't been allowed to smoke for a very long time. Like why are women smelling things that aren't there?
Again, I think that's heightened sensitivity to very wide and wild fluctuation in hormones. A lot of women are more aware of their own body odour in particular.
Oh my God, the BO, yeah, gets bad.
They might think that they smell, but they actually are just what they always smelled like, but it's a more heightened sensitivity of their own smell.
What about vertigo? I know a lot of women get dizzy spells or like some extreme vertigo in some cases.
Again, I don't dismiss this. I've heard it often in my perimenopausal ladies. I think it's because of this wild fluctuation in hormones.
Can we talk about getting tested for perimenopause? Because we know now that blood tests that check your hormones mostly will come back as totally normal in this period. So how do you actually know that you're in peri? Is it all about just checking off that symptoms list?
It's the classic symptoms at the correct time in life. It does get tricky because the median age of menopause, the last period and the last egg, is pretty set at 51 to 52 years. But it's normal for menopause to happen from 45 to 55, even 57 or so. Early menopause is before that, and premature is less than 40 years of age. Women do want their hormones measured, but perimenopause is diagnosed based on a typical age, typical symptoms, and it's only really if someone was maybe less than 40 and had perimenopausal symptoms that I might look at this just thinking, is she going to be at higher risk of having a premature menopause?
Well, I've been seeing lots of Americans on my social media feed doing this thing called a Dutch test that seems to now claim to be able to tell you if you're actually in peri. Is that a thing? And do we have access to that here in Australia?
You can do Dutch testing. You can do salivary testing. I've done a PhD in measuring estrogen, testosterone, and lots of other different hormones. No one needs a Dutch test unless they're a very unusual person and their blood doesn't react properly with the normal hormonal assays, which we, of course, don't really need to do in perimenopause and menopause. And I just encourage women to spend their hard-earned money on something else and get to see a good general practitioner or other health practitioner who has knowledge and is a good practitioner and kind and caring and knows about perimenopause and how to manage it.
Sonia, why do you think some women experience symptoms of perimenopause quite extreme and then some women barely feel it?
20% of women at menopause and perimenopause do not have symptoms. They sail right through. 20% have severe symptoms and can drench a beach towel in sweat overnight and have to wring it out several times. This is just human physiology and wiring, possibly experience too. So a history of trauma or PMS or being unwell might give you increased sensitivity, and you might notice more worse symptoms at this time.
Can you talk to me about histamine? Because a lot of the social media landscape around perimenopause now talks about histamine in its relation to estrogen and how that could be causing symptoms.
There's not any evidence to support that. People who do have a histamine sensitivity, by and large, they do have more skin issues. They might have allergies and all those sort of things. But I don't think it's a really direct relationship.
We are going to be focusing on HRT or MHT in next week's episode, as well as other potential treatments. But what is your suggestion when we do try and handle all of these symptoms? Sometimes they come on, one at a time, and kind of you reach each one and can handle them as they approach. But sometimes they all dump on you pretty much simultaneously.
It will really depend on the symptoms that the woman is presenting with. So, for example, if the mood symptoms, anxiety, low mood and the irritability are the worst thing, or if they've got an amplification of PMS, one treatment might be suitable for them and they won't possibly want to embrace it, but the antidepressant group called the SSRI group. Women typically don't like being handed an antidepressant, but it is a brilliant strategy for flushes and sweats. If mood is better, they'll probably sleep better. It might relieve some of the brain fog. But another good option is the oral contraceptive pill. The pill will just stop this cyclical and wild fluctuation of hormones and will just give the very steady levels of hormone in the pill, but it will also be a higher level, so it might cater for the flushes, sweats, sleep disturbance. And if you use a low-dose pill, this is if women are healthy, not smoking, not obese and don't have migraine with aura and are less than 50 years of age, but it is the closest estrogen to our body's estrogen, and many women don't bleed on that, and it is the lowest dose. There is also a progesterone-only pill which inhibits ovulation now, and that might be a good option. And of course, those both give contraception, which is needed because you may not want to be 49 and push around another pram.
Just finally, one of the questions we got from the world community made me chuckle a little bit because she was like, seriously, just when does this shit stop? Just want to know, do the symptoms resolve when you're in full menopause?
So I think the big relief with the end of perimenopause is that this stops. But then remember I talked about an average level through reproductive life of about 400 of estrogen. That level at menopause will flatline and sit there at 20. So they may have flushes, sweats, sleep disturbance, mood disturbance, etc. Luckily enough, they won't have any bleeding. And the other thing is it should be constant. Menopause at least is constant, so it's much easier to approach treatment. And of course, hormone therapy might be a good option. Not all can take it, but there are other non-hormonal medications and other strategies such as cognitive behavioural therapy, which might be useful in perimenopause too. Hypnotherapy is very useful, not to stop the symptoms, but to help the body with how they respond to it. Some have acupuncture in a given individual. That might be a good option as well.
Gosh, this can be such a confusing time. Thank you, Dr. Davison. Apparently, and this is something that is now being tracked, is we see spikes in divorce rates amongst women who enter perimenopause and menopausal years. And we're talking about heterosexual couples. I don't know how it works in a same-sex coupling.
Yeah. Oh, geez, that'll be interesting.
If you are two women currently going through perimenopause, I would like you to tell me what your experience is like. Like, is your house peace and serenity because you're supporting each other?
And you understand
and
it,
you understand it?
Yeah.
Or is it like raging chaos and like the depths of hell? But it's a lot, right?
I am seeing a lot of women in my practice who are not only dealing with the brain fog and the physical symptoms like hot flushes and the night sweats, but the strain it is putting on their relationships. So many females are coming in and just it's like, I cannot stand my partner. And one big piece that doesn't get talked about enough is the impact on intimacy and libido. Many women experience a drop in their sex drive during this time, which can make things really tough with their partners.
Also, dry vagina.
Yeah, I know. It's not fun. Sex isn't fun, no. And sometimes men might not understand why things have changed, and that can lead to frustration or feeling disconnected in the relationship. But it's not just about intimacy. Like, women are also dealing with a massive physical load. They're managing symptoms that are exhausting.
Depending on where you are too, if you're sandwich generation, you're caring for elderly parents.
Exactly.
You're going through perimenopause or menopause, and you may have a child going through puberty at the same time. Like, holy heck.
So look, menopause isn't just about a woman's journey. It impacts the whole relationship, the whole family unit. Getting support, talking about it openly and learning about this phase together can really help couples and families navigate it in a healthier way.
Yeah, we can all do with a better support network around menopause, that's for sure.
And leave the bloody AC on, even if it's winter. Leave it on cold. I feel like if men, partners, adolescents can learn more about peri and menopause and really learn to be patient and kind during this time, can really make a world of difference. You know, it's not just about sex, it's about that emotional closeness, understanding and support. And when people are educated and compassionate, it helps ease the pressure and it can actually strengthen the relationship.
Well, at least we're talking about it now, where our mums were all like, no, menopause what?
Yeah, so I'm hoping now that it's having its moment in the sun, it's not just for females recognizing, oh, I'm going to go speak to my doctor about this. I don't have to live with these symptoms, but also a chance for people around those females to learn about it and see how they can support these females through this transition period.
Next, it is quick consult time, Mariam. I hope you're prepared because this is something I would really like to know the answer to. It is about a certain time of night where we all seem to fall into a similar trap, a very sweet, very enticing trap. We are about to answer Ruth's question about her after-dinner addiction. But if you're not across how you can actually get a question to you, Dr. Mariam, let's share the process because there's a few ways you can do this. You can send us a ye olde traditional email, well@mamamia.com.au. You can hit us up in the DMs because we are on a whole bunch of social media, including Insta and TikTok.
So cool.
But also we have this thing called the waiting room. And this is because we know sometimes sharing health information can be a little bit scary. So we have this way that you can remain anonymous. And there is a link in our show notes that you can click through. And I'm loving that some people are putting so much information in the things that they are sharing here. Thank you very much for sharing. It is time. Please, Mariam, do your thing.
The doctor will see you now just through here to consult room 1.
Thanks for waiting. How can I help you?
All right, it is a weekday evening. You've come home from work. You've done all the things required of you. You've had dinner. You've put away the dishes. You've wiped down the benches.
Oh, God, I'm happy.
Everything is free and clear. Your house is tidy. You don't have to think about anything. You think, I've got a bit of time. I can do a bit of couch time before I go to bed. And that is when it happens. This is what Ruth is asking for our help with today, Mariam. She wrote this.
Why can't I resist eating junk food at night despite eating healthily all day? It's like I can't control the urge and it sabotages my efforts to lose weight.
Ah, yes, the nighttime snack attack. You eat well all day and then 9 p.m. comes and you're elbow deep in the biscuit tin.
It's like you can hear the sugar from the pantry going, Claire, I'm here for you. Come get me.
So there are real reasons behind it. So number one, your brain is tired. So this is when your decision-making power drops off.
Oh,
so
it gets us when we're at our lowest.
That's right. So this is when you're like more likely to go shopping online or do things that you're going to instantly regret, right? So it's harder to resist cravings at night, especially for high sugar, high fat comfort foods. Number two, you might not be eating enough earlier. So if you're unintentionally restricting food during the day, your body's naturally going to try to catch up at night. It's not a lack of willpower. Number three, hormones. Hormones are always involved.
Every single conversation we have comes back to hormones eventually.
So things like cortisol, insulin, and even those estrogen fluctuations, especially in perimenopause, they can intensify those evening cravings. And then there's the emotional side. So like nighttime is often the first moment we stop, we breathe.
Or even just have a moment to ourselves.
Exactly. And food becomes this quick way to like comfort, smooth, or manage stress. So what can help, Ruth? Okay, so we've got to make sure that you're eating enough across the day, especially protein, fiber, and healthy fats. We want to keep your energy and blood sugar levels stable. Include treats in your regular diet. So you don't need to cut out all the foods that you love. Restriction can make those cravings stronger and lead to that all or nothing mindset. We don't want that. that. So we also want you to build healthy eating patterns where your meals are balanced, they're satisfying, and they're not about punishment or control. That relationship with food is so important. And if you feel like it's starting to control your life, that relationship with your food, or if you're constantly stressed or you're feeling guilty about eating, it's really worth checking in with your GP. You may benefit from speaking with a dietitian or mental health professional to make sure your relationship with food is really supporting your overall well-being.
This is something I had no idea about until I went to see a dietitian.
Yep.
And she said to me, you're existing in a punishment and reward cycle.
Exactly.
She's like, that's not a healthy relationship.
So include those treats throughout the day in a healthy amount. Yeah.
And she's like, just melt a bit of chocolate on top of your yogurt. And I was like, shut up, I can do that. And she's like, yeah, you can. Some very good advice. Thank you, Dr. Mariam. Now we just have to put it into practice.
It's always the fun part.
It's never easy. Thank you so much for hanging out with us again today here on Well. We need to let you know, though, when we are speaking to you about things, we speak in general terms. And that is because neither I nor Mariam are your actual doctors. We actually cannot diagnose you with a single thing. So what you really need to do is head off to your own GP, have the conversations, ask all the questions, and use the info that we've given you as like a baseline. So we've armed you.
Yeah.
Now it is up to you to go and do something with that. Next week, we are talking about HRT or MHT, as you refer to it as. It's a topic that divides a lot of people.
Yep.
Hormone replacement. It has a lot of history. There is a study that we will be discussing, which comes up in conversation all the time. Whether you're aware of it or not, it might be colouring the way you think about HRT or MHT. So we are going to be getting to the bottom of that.
So excited.
We will catch you for your appointment next week.
Bye-bye.
Well is produced by me, Claire Murphy, senior producers Sasha, Tannock and Sally Best, with audio production by Scott Stronach, video production by Julian Rosario and social production by Ellie Moore.
Mamma Mia acknowledges the traditional owners of the land we have recorded this podcast on, the Gadigal people of the Eora Nation. We pay our respects to their elders, past and present, and extend that respect to all Aboriginal and Torres Strait Islander cultures.